back in the car and I put the music back on. Peace, please, Lord, peace. Actually, it was more for me that I was praying for peace because I was an absolute distraught mess. He's fine. He's sitting in the back playing with his little toy duck. He did not fazed by the entire thing. And we're driving home, and I just, as clear as day, remember hearing the Lord say, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "Do what?" And he says, "Why do you put limitations on your son? I never have." And in that moment, I just repented. I changed the way that I thought. And I realized in that moment, like it had really exposed to me that my words were actually limiting Zion. My words, his mom, the one that should be representing him, the one that should be fighting for him, it was actually limiting him. And it was actually restricting the promises that God had for him. And so, I started crying and I repented. And I from that day on, I began speaking life and faith over him in every situation instead of this fear and letting the fear come up. And that just, for me, like that's just one big example in my life of how your words are really the overflow of what's inside of your heart, right? That exposed to not the world, but like it exposed to the dentist, exposed to myself what was going on the inside. Right? It reminds me of what we said in Luke chapter 6, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? When your heart is actually filled with God's truth, then your words will naturally reflect life, faith, and hope, right? But I learned that if I filled my heart with God's word, that my words would mirror that truth. And in doing so, that would be transforming not only Zion's destiny, but also my own. And so I would say, like, with that, for you who is listening, you too, tonight, before you go to sleep, reflect on what might be taking root in your heart. Like, identify one area that needs God's truth and begin speaking life into that right then and there on the spot. Don't wait. Oh, I'll do it in the morning when I have my time with the Lord. No, do it then and there on the spot. Do it then and there on the spot. What's an area of your life that you need to begin speaking life into?
Yeah. And actually that leads perfectly into the next question that I was going to ask you, because I would love to know then, how has your understanding that every single word carries the power of life or death, how has that impacted the way that you speak over your family and your family's future?
Right. Yeah. And my own future as well. I've come to realize that our words have immense creative power. Immense creative power. For example, while the professionals were speaking limitations over my son Zion, my husband and I chose a different path. We chose instead to declare God's promises over him daily. It was intentional, right? But our intentional language actually set a new standard for his growth and his development. And actually, in that process of creating, we redefined what was possible for our family, especially for Zion. Like, every word that you speak can either nurture growth or sow limitations. What do you want to speak? Like, death and life are in the power of the tongue, right? But by embracing that truth of death and life being in the power of our tongue, that means we're responsible for what comes out of our mouth. By embracing the power of our very words, we actually step into our royal identity then and there. And we create this atmosphere where healing and transformation are extremely possible. Our faith-filled declarations was what created an environment where Zion could flourish even when others couldn't see it. I would also say one thing that has really helped me when it comes to this and understanding the power of your words, the power of life and death being in your tongue. Try what I call the 30-second pause technique, right? So before you speak, stop. Pause and ask yourself, is this going to bring life or is this going to bring death? And if it's going to bring life, great, go for it. But if it's going to bring death, possibly look at adjusting your words accordingly, you know? So that's just been one practical thing that I have found that has really helped me. I don't have to be quick to respond. Stop. That's actually acting like the queen that God has created me to be. You don't have to be quick to speak. Slow to speak. Take your time. Stop. Pause. Ask, is this going to bring me life, or is this going to bring death over what I'm speaking to?
So powerful. I think that many of us don't pause enough.
You got that right.
Listen.
But that's the busyness of life, right? We don't stop enough. We don't stop enough to just ask a simple question like, is this actually going to bring me life, or is this going to bring death? Like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, well, with the name of your book, I have to come back to the name of the book. The Voice of a Queen is and so how is the voice of a queen unleashing the power of purposeful words? What does it mean to speak like a queen?
Right.
And how has embracing your royal identity changed the way that you declare your future?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say speaking like a queen means speaking with authority. Speaking like a queen means declaring your true identity as a beloved daughter of God. I experienced this transformation when I actually was decluttering my closet with Christian. Oh my goodness. I will seriously. And you're like, how on earth does decluttering your closet with your husband have anything to do like speaking like a queen, right? So when I, late last year, I set an impossible faith goal with my husband. He set one for himself. I did one for myself. Obviously, it was a process that we went through with the Lord, right? What would it look like to chase after the impossible with God? And when you posture yourself before the Lord and say, let's do this, like, God, I'm going to do this, but I can't do this on my own. I need you to come through. And it's only going to happen because you've done it, right? When you put yourself in that position with God, you can't stay the same. In fact, everything has to change. Everything has to change. Your circle of friends, the conversations that you have, what you're going to allow in your life, what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to say no to, the way that you present yourself, the way that you speak, the clothes that you wear even, it has to change. And so in this process of working towards this impossible faith goal, you know, it's the whole thing of God knows the end from the beginning. And if God shows you a vision and you can see it clearly, that means that it's in God's heart for you. If you can't see a vision and you're trying to make this thing happen, but you just can't get clarity on a vision, I would prompt you and I would encourage you to go back to God and say, is this on your heart for me? Because if it is, you will see it clearly. And so I saw this future version of me that had already accomplished this impossible faith goal with God. And part of that meant that I needed to change the way that I dress. Which meant I got to go shopping. But there was a vital, I mean, it changed my whole shopping experience, believe me. The reason why it did was because before I went shopping, I had to go through my closet and I had to get rid of every single piece of clothing that did not align with that future version of Chantal. And there were a lot of clothes on the floor, a lot. And, you know, there was this pink jacket that I had and I left it there. And, you know, cool, it's a pink jacket. But Christian came up to it and he picked it up and goes like, babe, what's going on? Like, why have you got this? And what I actually found was I was starting to justify how that would work with all of the different pieces of clothing. I could do this and I could wear it with that and it would look cute, you know. But what I found that getting rid or letting go of that little pink jacket, it actually reminded me of my old self, the one in the past, the one that had limiting beliefs. And in the process of getting rid of that, he just took it and he threw it on the ground. Christian, bless him. He took it and he threw it on the ground. And I was like, excuse me, that's my jacket. But what it meant by putting that piece of clothing on the ground was that I was shedding my past. I was stepping into the royal identity that God had intended for me, and yes, I got to go shopping, and yes, I got to fill my closet with clothes that represented the future version of me who has already accomplished that goal with God. But here's the thing. I felt the weight of every single purchase. I felt the weight of every single purchase. And my filter question when spending money was, does this line up with that picture? Does this line up with the person that God wants me to be at the end? And I'm going to start to act like that now. I even think of Queen Esther. Just as her courageous words saved her nation, our words can actually reshape our destinies. Mm-hmm. Your words as a queen, right? Your words are actually royal decrees that will shape your life and impact everyone around you. And it makes me think of Psalm 119. I believe it's 105. And it says, your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And so when you speak with conviction and authority, what you're actually doing is you're dismantling limitations and open doors for divine breakthroughs. That's the power when you speak in the authority that you've been given. Letting go of that pink jacket was more than just a physical decluttering, right? It was a symbolic release of outdated beliefs. And it was the beginning of embracing my true royal identity. And I would say, what is one thing that you guys can do, right? Choose one key scripture or an affirmation that resonates with your royal identity. Write it down. Declare it every morning over yourself for the next 7 days and see how you start to act. I can guarantee you it's going to change the way that you start to act if you're declaring stuff like that over your life.
I love that. Yes, because practical things to do, something you can do right now, because the book isn't out yet.
No.
So while you're waiting for the book, first of all, just like Chantal was saying, do something every single day that is just speaking life into you.
Yep.
But also, I'd love for you to share a little bit about how they can get a hold of the first chapter of the book as well as the intro.
Yep. Yes. So we will share the link with you. All you need to do is click on that link. You go on there, you get the introduction and the chapter 1 for free. And then once you're there, you'll be able to get updates. You'll get updates when pre-order is up. And then also it is going to launch April the 8th. April the 8th is going to be a huge, huge day, but not just because it's the book launch, right? But what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be doing a virtual launch summit where I am bringing some of my closest friends that are also going to speak. I'm going to speak, but we're also going to get them to share how the power of words have really impacted their life as well. So I'm super excited for that. But if you go and register on that link, then you'll get introduction, chapter 1 for free, and you'll get updates as well.
Yes, voiceofaqueen.com. Yes. And I will pop it in the comments after the live has finished. I'll pop it in the comments so everybody has a direct link to it so that you can go on and get that. Because first of all, you want to start reading it. You want to get in there and dive in right away to
Just have a little taste. Just have a little taste.
Dive in right away. But then also, to have access to knowing as soon as it's available and info on your summit that's coming up. I'm so excited for that.
Yes.
Definitely have to keep everybody posted on that. So, oh my goodness, Chantal, thank you so much for joining us today, because this has been, first of all, I'm so happy for you, so excited for you. I love that you took what was on your heart and put it into a book to empower so many of us women, because that's the thing. We just need the tools and we need the reassurance from others who are already living into this, that there is hope and that the power of words are so extremely powerful. And we can utilize that every single day of our lives.
Right.
To transform our own lives, but also all of those around us.
Yes.
And what an impact we can have on everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So happy for you to be on. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chantal.
Yes, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. And, I would just say before we wrap up, the voice of a queen isn't just a message. It's not just a message. It's actually a mandate, right? Because the moment that we as women, we take hold of our voice, you take hold of your destiny, and you're called to shape your world with your words. If your life right now is not where you want it to be, start by listening to the words that you have been speaking, because heaven has actually already spoken over you, but your breakthrough will not manifest until you do. So it's time to actually stop shrinking, stop doubting, stop waiting, just start speaking and ask yourself this, like, if you believed your voice carried kingdom authority, how would you speak differently today? How would you speak differently today?
Love that. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chantal.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for you and the book, and excited for all of the ladies that are going to be transformed by reading your book. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And everyone get out there and get on voiceofaqueen.com and grab your intro and first chapter so you can start diving in while you wait for the book.
Yes. And also too, if you do that and you go ahead and you get the introduction and chapter 1, I want to hear from you. Connect with me. Like, I want to hear how it has impacted you. I mean, yes, it's only the introduction in chapter 1, but like, how did it impact you? I want to start to hear some testimonies. I'm already getting testimonies starting to come in. I had one lady say, when is it coming? Like, I can't put this down. Like, when's the rest of it coming? I'm like, you just gotta wait, but it'll be worth it. I promise. I really believe that, when you write down the vision that God has given you and you make it so plain, then people can run with it. And that's what this book is, right? Yeah. They read it, it's plain, it's clear, this is what I got to do. But it comes from a place of realizing that you have to be the queen that God has intended me to be first. And then walking it out comes from a place of being that queen first. And let's be real, before I could even write a word, I had to become the queen that I'm hoping that every single one of you become after you've read it. That's something that I've had to walk through myself. So I just know that the Lord is up to something, and there is a movement of women that need to open their mouths and speak. He's waiting for his daughters. He's waiting for his queens to open their mouths and speak and use the authority that they have been given. And so the Lord is up to something. I know that, but hey, go and grab your introduction in chapter 1 for free.
Yes, do it today. As soon as we get off.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. I wish everyone an amazing and beautiful rest of your day.